Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of AppSource Central. Here we speak with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central ISVs and talk about their apps on AppSource. Today, I have a guest from Canada, an ISV called Nick, and I have Mike Glue from NIC Systems. Mike, thank you for joining the podcast. Can you please?
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Can you please shortly introduce yourself and your company?
Sure. Yeah. I've been got into the Dynamics NAV, or I guess Navision, back around 2000 or so. So I've been doing this for quite a while. At least the last 15 years plus, I've been focused on building products. So started with Division and Dynamics NAV, building a product and a vertical product there. And that evolved into the app, building apps for AppSource and whatnot. So we were very lucky at my previous partner to be involved with the preview program when Business Central was getting launched.
Mhm.
So we've been in a lot of this since the very beginning. So NIC Systems primarily started as a services partner in 2016. And when I got here a couple of years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we added the focus to become an ISV. So put more focus in building apps and products and things like that. So not necessarily vertical focus. A lot of our customers are in the food and beverage industry, but our apps themselves, we build them so that they're cross-industry. So it doesn't matter what vertical you're in, anyone can use it.
Is it purely a Business Central company, or do you offer other services as well?
Primarily, we're focused on Business Central. We are branching out into other aspects that connect to Business Central, Power Platform, obviously, and things like that. But yeah, primarily Business Central.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Do you only do product development, or do you also have direct customers as well? Do you also build PTs?
Yeah, we do. We do have our own project customers as well. We have a number of customers that we're supporting that are still on Dynamics NAV. So we're working with them to get them upgraded. They're both on Dynamics NAV and they're on-premise. So there's we have to move them to the cloud. And we also have our own Business Central online customers as well. So yeah, the company is kind of split into two pieces. We have the services side and the AppSource side.
Okay, so that comes with its own challenges and also the benefits as well, I assume. So how do you do it? So your customers also use your apps, I assume? So do they download? So I'm speaking the SaaS customers right now. Do they download from AppSource, and then when they need customization, do you build PTs on top of your own apps, or how does it go? Or do you?
Yeah,
it depends on the requirement, I guess. Sometimes it might go into the product as well.
It always depends on the requirement. So yeah, by default, they buy our apps through AppSource. All of our apps use AppSource transactability, so they purchase them and install them direct from AppSource. And then yeah, if they have any ideas for enhancements, we treat them as ideas first. We don't assume that they're customizations. So we do have a public-facing idea portal that any customers and prospects, anyone can go to. So it begins there. The idea gets logged into there. We'll evaluate it for any of our apps, whether it's an existing app or potentially even a new app. And then that's where it goes one of two directions. It'll either get onto our roadmap for a future update in one of our apps, or it will go to our customer development path, which is the same development team anyways. We use just one singular team to build the development, but it'll just be done as a PTE. And yeah, we'll either extend and enhance our app or build a completely new thing.
Okay. Do you, maybe getting technical too early, but do you have one code base for your on-prem and SaaS customers as well, or do you have different code bases?
We actually don't do on-premise customers in Business Central. So all of our customers are online. So we build our apps with that primarily SaaS-focused implementation.
Okay, so you don't have an on-prem version of your existing apps. They are purely built. They were born on Business Central world.
Exactly. Yeah. We primarily focus on
that. That's easier to manage. Yeah, because if you have them both, so the code bases have to manage them. We have the preprocessors and so on to even manipulate the object numbers. But I get that. No, that's good. You mentioned the primarily food and beverage industry, but I go through your apps as well. It seems like it targets a wider audience, so not necessarily a food and beverage industry. So in your team, do you have do you hold that specific domain expertise, like subject matter expertise? Like, do you have food and beverage experts in your team as well? Or they are purely business center resources and kind of evolved into food and beverage knowledge as well?
Yeah. So again, the two parts of the organization are kind of, that's one of the differences. So primarily on the services side, we do have a lot of food and beverage expertise on that side of the organization. When it comes to the technical side, we have a collection of a few of us that have kind of grown up through various partners that were also in that vertical. So we picked up the knowledge that way. We don't come from the industry, but we picked up that experience. So primarily the development team and the technical side pick up that information. They don't come from the industry.
Okay. No, fair enough. Fair enough. That's usually the path that we see quite commonly in many partners.
Yeah.
Can you talk about a little bit about your customer base? So you're based in Canada and US as well, is it?
Yeah,
And
we're headquartered in Canada. Yeah. So
Canada?
we're headquartered just outside of Toronto, but
Is this
we
your
all
customer base predominantly, or do you have
no.
customers in different
Actually,
regions?
if I think right now the way that the Business Central customers are split, it's actually split opposite. Funny enough, it's probably
Okay.
80% of them are in the U.S.
Right.
and the rest are in Canada. When it comes that's the project customers. That's our project customers. You know, our apps are available in a lot more regions than there's those two, but yeah, our actual project customers are split between those two countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have customers in Europe as well, or the
We have
Australia, New Zealand?
we have some customers that are actively trying our apps right now.
Okay.
So it's that's one of the interesting things with AppSource. I mean, they downloaded it, they're in the
Yeah.
trial, and we're hoping they continue with
Okay.
it.
Are
But
those
yeah,
partners or direct customers?
it's right now. I believe there's at least one or two partners, and we've had some leads from direct from customers. Usually, we see mostly it comes through partners though, not direct from customers.
Partner is looking for an app for their customer, right? Usually
Yeah,
that's
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, no, fair enough. That's exciting times. We'll go through the AppSource apps a little bit, but in
hmm
overall, so you've been in AppSource from the get-go almost, right?
hmm
So you have seen its development quite closely. What are your experiences so far with AppSource, and what do you think about the direction it's going?
I mean, it's certainly come a long way. We enjoy it. You know, like I said, the transactability, it's not perfect. I think we all know that it's not perfect. There's a lot of licensing options that we would like available, but at the same time, we don't have to think about that sort of stuff. You know,
Yeah,
we put the entitlements in our apps, we define our permission sets, and then we just push it, and we don't have to worry about the rest. And
yeah,
similarly, on the finance and the AP side of the company, they don't have to worry about the collections and all that stuff. So
yeah,
there's a lot of headache like that that's taken care of. AppSource itself, I mean, we push a lot of updates. We push at least an update every month for multiple apps, whether it's new apps or existing apps. So we're everything's automated from pushing things and all that sort of things. You can get to a point where it's not a lot of overhead.
hmm,
It does take just first getting into it. There's a bit of a learning curve, figuring out what the requirements are, figuring out how to fill in the marketing information so that it passes, and figuring out the expectation of how long is it going to take for my update to be available if I'm just updating the app versus updating the app plus marketing material, because that's
yeah,
the difference. So
yeah.
there are some neat little things that you pick up along the way, but I mean overall we really like AppSource. The struggle that we're kind of having is trying to get customers to find AppSource and find the apps on AppSource, because that I don't
Yeah.
think is as easy as it could be.
Yeah, but that will change after this podcast, right? Surely.
Yeah, exactly. Now, yeah, exactly. I'll be asking, slow down.
Oh, whoa, that's too much. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. So that's good. So you're only transactable by, you don't have your own solutions, because many partners, they have their own kind of subscription management and that sort of stuff. So you're purely Microsoft, you're using
Yeah,
Microsoft tool in terms of transactability. That's cool.
we made that decision early on
Yeah,
to go that direction, and it's got its challenges. Yeah, and again,
makes
learning curves
sense.
and things like
But it's
that.
a
But
managed solution, right? So you don't really worry
it
about that.
is.
And
Yeah,
Microsoft
that's the
can
nice
build it
thing.
for you moving forward, because that's a common area that partners or all the ISVs are looking Microsoft to make some improvements. I think that's the kind of feedback from
Yeah,
many ISVs,
yeah,
and it will be
exactly.
shipped
Yeah,
for you for
exactly.
free. So yeah,
And
okay.
it opens up the door to like the AppSource marketplace rewards. So, anything we sell through there, we're getting incentives and we're getting some rewards through that program by selling our app. So there's some benefits there for sure.
Great. Do you also exist in other marketplaces, or AppSource is the
Right
marketplace?
now, just AppSource, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's great. Now I'll open up the AppSource a little bit and have a look at your app. So you have, the last time I checked, you had 27 of them, right?
I think, yeah, something like that. I think so, yeah.
That's quite a few apps to manage, to be honest. And
it is.
There's a couple of free ones. So
there's a few free ones, yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 of them are free.
Yeah, I think we have, three free apps: production yield metrics, variable cost center, and item tracking status indicator.
That's it.
Those are the 3 functional apps. There is a 4th free one, which is an application installer that a partner can use to install the rest of the apps without having to go back and forth to AppSource.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the 3 free functional
Which comes
ones.
at first, right? When I look for NIC Systems, the application installer is the top on the list. Is it because they have to download it first to get your other?
They don't. No, it's completely
they don't have
optional.
to, actually.
We got some feedback from partners. Hey, I'm a delegated admin for my customer. I'd like to get their, at least all their apps installed. Of course, they still have to buy the licenses and all that. But I want to get their system ready with all the apps they need, so they can just install that app and then put in all of the other apps that the customer wants without having to go back and forth with AppSource.
No, fair enough. So it's a gateway to all of your other apps that they can install.
But it's not required. Yeah.
Fair enough. What do you think about the free apps? So is it's a marketing thing. It's also a community contribution. Do you see a good amount of usage in your free apps?
We do. The item tracking status indicator that seems to be the popular one. That's got the most downloads. There's multiple downloads of that any given month. But yeah, I mean, my thought behind that originally was, let's get something out there. I think we used that status indicator too as a bit of a learning curve, figure out our processes and things like that around AppSource. But yeah, it's marketing, it's getting our name out there. We were, a brand new ISV getting apps out there in a marketplace that already had, over 2,000 apps, right? So yeah, and they're simple little things. They're simple little those things are simple little things that our customers have asked us for, and I didn't really think they were large enough to bother charging for. Let's just put them out there and let people use them.
Yeah, if it's not that complex and if it's easy to maintain and if it just solves that specific thing, so it's always a good idea that perhaps you just put it out for free and let people find you. Because sometimes people just search for free apps, right?
Exactly.
Even that might be the case.
Yeah. And like you said, not needing to maintain it. That tracking status indicator app, other than adding a few more pages over the couple of years, we've hardly had to touch that app. We just keep it maintained, and
there is the thing is there is no ratings or reviews. So if it's that popular, would you encourage people to give more ratings and add some reviews?
Yeah, that's one of the tough things we've also struggled with, is kind of reminding customers and users to go back and rate the apps. That's been a bit of a struggle. I don't know if they think of those apps kind of like that. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of end users necessarily even know it's an app that they're using, and that's fine. There might be 1 or 2 people at least at the customer that could do that, but it's been a struggle to try to do that.
Is it because it's mostly partner driven and not by direct customer driven? Because if the end user themselves,
it could be,
there might be more tending to put more reviews because they are the ones using it, where rather than the implementation person wouldn't go back and perhaps put a review. I don't know. So the more direct engagement from customer comes, would you expect that the number of reviews and ratings would go up?
Yeah, I am certainly hoping that. It's actually something that we recently discussed here to kind of talk to our customers about and put out there. Honestly, I don't even think a lot of them even know that was a possibility, to be honest.
Okay.
I think because they're, and like you said, probably because even with our own customers, we're going to install the apps for them. We help them set it up. They haven't been the ones to directly necessarily find it and explore it and things like that. So
I'll go through your apps a little bit very quickly.
Sure.
So there's application installer, the gateway to the other ones that you can install other apps through that app. There is payment signatures, so you can add like signatures on documents, kind of a thing. customer insights, and then we're going to see the vendor insights as well. So you have customer and vendor insights. It gives you some metrics about, there's also a product now, no? Customer insights, like a CRM kind of a product. Not my field, sorry, I might be talking completely rubbish here. So there's customer insights that gives you good metrics. There are some screenshots that you can see in there as well. So that's a good one. Material staging. This is a bit about the manufacturing, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's our newest app published last week.
Oh yeah, okay, congratulations. What does it do?
That is a process that can occur in manufacturing where you're I'm going to use the word kitting. I know kitting has been in Dynamics NAV and things like that before, but it's essentially assembling all of your components for production. So assembling them the day before, the night before, the morning of, whatever the case may be. So getting together all your raw materials and, mixing. So again, the food and beverage example, they've got spices and blends and things like that. So getting all of those things ready so that the following day in production, somebody can just open up the big bag of spices and dump it into the mixture.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. And then there's variable capacity cost, which is the free one. Calculates direct cost using a cost factor. So you can set up a factor that can be, in this example, it's number of employees, and it influence the cost on your production.
It's a very easy way to have your cost reflect the number of people doing the job.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Then you have the SSCC labels. I reckon that's quite a common one. Inventory shelf life. It's good. I tend to go in and talk about them, but I also remind myself that there is 20 something of them, and we only. So I have to go quickly as well. Sales commission. So this is the one that we're gonna dive a bit deeper later on. So I'll skip that one now. Back order management. This allows under receipts and under shipments. So we have over receipts, right?
Microsoft added the over receiving, but that's the case where if you under ship somebody, but you don't want to send them back orders necessarily. So you ship them 9 out of 10, it will automatically close the order as opposed to leaving it there.
Right. Okay. Treasury Management Suite. Treasury Management Suite adds features to automate cash application and bank reconciliation. So this kind of separates from the others a little bit in terms of the target audience, perhaps.
That's I think one of the few. That and payment signatures are kind of the only ones that focus on a financial kind of functionality.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It's good to have some variety in there as well. Production yield metrics, also another one that comes free. Item recalls. Handle recall process for inventory and all inbound, outbound activities. Most of the apps, they target a very niche part of the business, let's say. They do something very specific.
I mean, that's honestly one of our design goals. We try to keep the apps as small as we possibly can. Focus on one specific thing because, again, managing it, updating them makes it a lot easier.
100%. Fair enough. Production batching. Split production orders into production batches. Okay. Inventory restrictions, add and remove restrictions on item inventory. This is the maximum quantity you can drive from certain items for certain customers, I guess. That's something I remember.
Or blocking inventory and things like that.
Blocking inventory as well. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Item tracking status indicator, also another one free. This one provides quick visibility into how much tracking information has been populated, granted. Vendor insights we mentioned. Production instructions. Add instructions to a production BOM and view them from the production order. Okay. And then purchasing restrictions. We had another restrictions as well, right? There's inventory restrictions. There's purchasing
sales
restrictions.
And purchasing.
Okay. Okay. So you have 3 restrictions. Okay. Similar logic, different modules. That's good. So someone might need restrictions in the purchasing side, but they're more flexible on the sales. So they wouldn't need. They just only need the purchasing, perhaps. Mobile data collection. Use handheld devices to perform key operations anywhere within the warehouse and factory floor. Okay. Over shipping. Right. We have over receipt, but we don't have over shipping. So that's kind of closes that gap. License plating, view and control package tracked inventory, sales rebates, create customizable rebate programs, inventory freshness, sales restrictions, quality inspections, log algorithms. Okay, so this allows you to create complex load numbers containing information specific to your business. Loads that makes more sense rather than load 0001, 002, perhaps.
Exactly. Yeah.
And production sequencing. Arrange production orders by sequence code. Production order number or start date and time. So that's great. So most of the apps, when I look into, I couldn't dive into them a lot, but even putting the name out there, so perhaps, these guys have this app kind of a thing. So that's why I want to read all of them. Most of them, I see they are available. Canada, Mexico, Netherlands. So this is the supported countries I'm reading now. New Zealand, UK, and United States.
Yeah.
There's New Zealand, but not Australia. That was interesting for me to see.
I know. Yeah, the way we've been doing them is based on where the leads have been coming in and the interest has been coming in. So we don't release our apps to a region until we've gone through all of the tests within that region using a localized environment and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we release new regions twice a year when the major releases happen. So there's 4 more coming next month.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So all right. So someone in Australia cannot use this yet. Right?
Yeah, fair enough. It was bizarre to me that they were even separate anyways. But anyways, what can you do?
I'm not gonna get into that. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Under the hood they may not be. I don't know.
Okay, but that's still a conscious decision. I mean, that's really good. So you test on their localization to make sure that it will work properly on that country. So it's not something every ISV does, as far as I know.
Yeah, because we actually have a dedicated QA developer resource that is so we have nightly pipelines running on our kind of North America customers, and then we have ones that happen on we break the regions down into different groups depending on a few things. But then we're running them against the next minor release, next major release. So we have a lot of stuff running in pipelines at any given time. But
what do you use in terms of the CI/CD processes? What is the tool you guys are using?
So we're using Azure DevOps,
right?
Primarily because again, we grew up with that. We started DevOps long time ago before any of the ALGO stuff was available. So
fair enough. Do you use a managed solution?
No. This is all built because we have all the skills and the experience. For sure. It's not
of course.
something easy to get into, so I would not necessarily recommend jumping off of that if you're just starting out, for sure. But if you have the skills, then it works great.
Yeah, and especially if you invested in that over years, so it's not easy to just drop all of them and go to a new solution. Yes, we have a free managed solution by Microsoft in GitHub. So if someone's looking for a managed solution, that might be way to go. That's how Microsoft builds Business Central, right? Yep, there are other managed solutions if you're using Azure DevOps as well. So it's always kind of a good idea to use a managed solution because things are ever changing, and having a CI/CD expert itself, especially if you're a small ISV, it might become a burden.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy to underestimate the amount of time that could take.
Yes,
it can take a lot of effort.
And the ongoing cost as well. So it's not like you set it up and
it doesn't end. Yeah, it doesn't stop. Yeah, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. So can we have a look at the sales commission a little bit now?
Mm-hmm.
So is this your most popular app in terms of the paid ones?
It's one that gets a lot of attention from different industries and different regions. That tends to be one that is quite interesting, I think, to people. Yeah.
When I looked for sales commissions or similar apps, there is a lot of them. I think there
are
30 something.
There definitely are. So we built it specifically because, I mean, yes, we had customers asking for our customers, but we evaluated a bunch of the other apps that were in AppSource. We weren't quite happy with them. For varying reasons, so we decided to, using our philosophy and design, keeping it simple, we decided to, do our own.
Fair enough. And when I look at, maybe I'll dive in anyway. So when I look at the app and the technical documentation of it, you're quite good at documenting what's inside the app in terms of its objects and its extensibility. So you have a technical documentation site where people can see the objects of that app, And in the objects, they can also go in and see what are the events that has been raised so that they can hook in and change the business behavior. So it's not only good for extensibility, but it also gives an idea of how the app has been built. Because even from the object names, you can understand the thought process. So it's a proper little module on its own. It has its posting routines because you can see the journal post line, journal check, and all those objects. And then it gives you a bit more comfort. Okay, this follows the proper design patterns and the patterns that we are familiar with other modules or the standard modules. Even that itself, putting it publicly, I think it's phenomenal. So I really like that documentation, to be honest. So if I was a partner that is using Sales Commission or implementing it for another customer, I'd be quite comfortable to know kind of how it works technically and how to change its behavior.
Yeah. That's, we really try as hard as possible to follow, standard patterns and practices and clean code. And yeah, when that tool was available, I can't remember how long ago, to generate that technical documentation.
ALDoc, is it?
Yeah, ALDoc.
ALDoc.
Yeah. We immediately started that. It was and it was actually a rather interesting process to use. Even if you don't plan on publishing it, it is interesting to just run your apps through it, because it certainly highlighted things like, oh, that function isn't really named right, or that function shouldn't really be public. And so there was an interesting cleanup just immediately right away.
It exposes a lot, right? So just to make
it
it clear, it's a tool that kind of automates technical documentation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. And it's Microsoft tool that's shipped for this purpose. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's become part of our standard
development. I don't think it's very well known. That's why I'm kind of re-emphasizing what it does.
I think you're right. And for us now, it's become standard practice in our development now. For any public function, you've got to have your documentation in there. So.
That's good. So we're already talking about the technical. So the CI/CD, DevOps, extensibility. How about your tests?
Oh, tests. Yes. I am a huge believer in the automated tests.
Okay.
We started doing tests a long time ago, before the test toolkit was actually a thing. So we've been doing tests, some of us in this group here, for a long time. So we have some rather, I think, strict rules. I mean, compared to a lot of what I've seen, but I also think they could be better. So every single app that we have has to hit at least an 80% code coverage in automated tests.
Okay.
Right now, across all of our apps, all 27 of them, I think we're sitting about 89%. So we're doing pretty well with that, but we're really strict. So like I said, every bit of development, I won't say that we're test-driven development, because that's a very specific thing. We code and do tests at the same time. I know, even personally speaking, I don't sit down and skeleton out my tests first. But I do write it at the same time. So I'm building the feature, I'm writing the test. So every commit that happens, every pull request that happens, has to go through code review, and automatic fail if there's no tests. Automatic.
Yeah. Wow. It doesn't matter how small or how big.
No, the only situation where you can let that go is there are some things that you can't test for, there's some things that don't make sense. If you're just changing a tooltip or a caption, things like that. But primarily, no test, it's a fail. Yeah.
Okay, that's how can we say that's the warranty of the product, right? That's the reassurance of that's.
We have, in fact, I just looked this morning, in our sprint review, we have a little over 6,000 tests across those apps right now. So like I said, we have a big focus on that. Big focus on tests.
That sounds like it. That's very. It gives people confidence in hearing this, because it shows how well they are taken care of. So that's really good. And it is challenging. Do you use page scripting as well? So this is obviously not to take anything away from automated tests.
You don't use it on the development side, where it is just barely kicking off, obviously, because it's still new. But where we see it being used is, through the support channel and through the project implementation, with the consultants, using it for their stuff. On the development side, though, we're still staying with the automated toolkit.
Of course.
I'm not going to say never, because I know it's got some interesting
Now we can use them on
Directory
pipelines
database.
as well and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
how is you say your consultants are using it? Sorry, maybe I'm digressing a little bit, but do you have customer uptake as well? Do customers can create their own tests? Because I think that was the main purpose, right? Having that
That I think
tool
is the
there.
main purpose. I'm not going to say it's got off the ground yet.
Yeah, no, fair
I
enough.
think we're still really early in kind of getting that into the process, right? Into the implementation process. But I see it being super powerful there for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. No, that's fair enough. It's pretty new. There's a lot of going on, and I'm pretty sure we'll see more of it as we go.
Yeah.
A little bit of insights about the app in terms of the functionalities. It uses some standards like the sales document side of it, but I also see
Mhm.
it doesn't utilize a lot of standards. So it doesn't have a lot of dependencies on the standard application, which I believe that's what I kind of see from all the
Yep.
object
No, you're
list.
right.
So
Yep.
it kind of makes it easier to maintain and a proper standalone app kind of a thing. That was my impression, right?
Yeah, it's again, yeah, that's kind of part of our design philosophy is to not mess with base,
Yeah,
essentially, as much as possible, right?
yeah.
So we could hook into where we need to in posting routines. Yeah, that particular one, it starts when you create the sales order, it pulls in the sales agents and things, and then when you post it, we'll do a calculation. But
Mm-hmm.
as little interference with base application as possible is always what we prefer to do. Even with this app too,
Yeah.
we made our own ledger. We didn't hook in and modify
Yeah,
it or
yeah,
cut any of the
yeah,
other ledgers, right? I mean, those
yeah.
are those are lessons learned from
Yes.
the past
Uh-huh.
years for sure.
Yeah. You had commission entries and then detailed commission entries kind of a thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's structured like a customer ledger, but it's
Yeah.
it's it's its own thing. Yeah,
It's a common pattern we see all around the application, have the
yeah,
main ledger and then the detailed
yep,
ledger entries kind of a thing.
yep.
So you mentioned that this app was born from a need because the
hmm
existing ones is not really fitting the problem or solving the problem that you were having. So
hmm
what does this do? What does your sales commission do that close that gaps? Let's say.
So what we needed to solve was a little bit more configuration on how the commission was calculated. I mean, Standard Business Central has a commission report and a commission field, literally one field, I think it is on the salesperson
Yeah.
card, but that's all you get. It's,
Yeah.
a percentage of a sales amount, I think is what it amounts to. But it's a report. It doesn't really do anything. So we needed it to do things in terms of, tracking your calculated commissions, being able to set up different ways to calculate it. So you want your commission based off just a percentage of the amount or off the profit or off the margin. So we have all of those different capabilities. So it's really configurable in terms of setting up how to calculate your commissions. Maybe the salesperson only gets commissions for particular customers or a particular group of customers or a combination of customer and item, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that was one primary reason to do this. And then the other part of the reason was when it comes to paying out the commission, we had customers that, it's a broker that earns the commission, so we pay them through the vendor payment process, or it's an actual salesperson, so we need to pay them through a process. And that's one of the things that we didn't actually, I'm not sure if we found an app that did that, but we use the employee journal and that payment process to track that. It's again all fairly standard. We just kind of pulled
Mhm.
those things together into one
Okay.
spot.
No, no, that's good. That's good. Um, are you happy for me to talk about the pricing as well because it's public there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So in the plans and pricing section under the sales commission, so that's the standard plan. That's standard. I guess that's international. So monthly price is first month free, then
Yeah.
$7. Is it US dollar, Canada dollars? I don't know.
If you're looking at the international one, it's based on US dollars.
US dollars.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
$7.20. And if you get an annual plan, then that's first month free again, and then
Yeah.
$72. So it comes with an extra 2 month free
Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
We try to keep it consistent across all of our apps. All of them have the one
Yeah,
month free, and then yeah.
yeah, that's good. And so this does it target what kind of businesses does it target? Is it how many users you're roughly thinking? It's because too many users, then it might become too expensive, or is it like you target like employees up to
Yeah,
20, 50? How? Yeah.
and I mean, all the apps are different depending on what area they're in. That's one of the challenges to try to figure out. This particular one, being that it's in the sales process, you don't necessarily have to buy a whole load of users. It's people that enter the sales orders and post the sales orders, and then obviously you need to calculate and post the commission
Yeah.
payments. So you could get by with a low number of users if you're a small organization, I think. Yeah, like I said, for this particular app, I think you can do that. There's other types of apps that hook into other places. It's more challenging. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And I mean,
it's one of the reasons why we try not to hook into base too, because
yeah.
it makes that licensing aspect a little more challenging.
To be honest, it seems quite affordable to me. If I would to estimate to develop something like this, just by looking at the objects that you have, there will be different numbers. Let's say, if I would, yeah, if I would.
It's
how.
I'll tell you though, because again, we were in the early adopter program for the transactability, and interesting discussions because nobody had apps yet in AppSource with pricing. So it's like,
Yeah.
what price do we pick? I don't know.
Yeah, it's an evolving process. Yeah, because you don't have a reference, right? It's so new.
No reference, and everyone that came from the Dynamics NAV days, none of it was sold like that. We sold our solution. It was one price, and that's what you pay.
Yeah, but we're adopting, right? We're adopting.
Yep.
And
we are learning.
Hopefully,
every time we're learning something.
100%. Is it easy to onboard themselves for the customers? Do you have enough? I see there's it hooks into assisted setup as well a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I like to think we are. We have put a lot of effort in making sure that we have assisted setup in all of our apps that have a manual setup. So as long as there's some sort of manual setup, we try to do the wizard as well to help guide people a little bit. We have a great online help site as well. We have a great content person that's doing all of that with videos and help content. So I'd like to think that yes, we are evaluating getting into the other aspects of onboarding, the checklists and some of those other things. It's a bit challenging though. It makes a lot of sense if you have one big app doing a checklist, but if you have 27 small apps, it's a little bit challenging how you put together a checklist like that. But yeah, I mean, we do try to. So we've done things like set up data, default data. I think the lot algorithms app, for example, you can open up the list, and if it's empty, you can have some sample data created for you, things like that. So we are looking at different things to do. We're evaluating building an actual implementation app, which will help create and set up our other apps that you have installed as well. So it's not out there yet. Can't find it today, but something that we're working on.
So that's is it gonna? No, it's not gonna replace the application installer. So this is application implementer.
It's funny. I mean, that's a discussion. It might kind of pull the application installer into it. It might become part of it. But yeah, something that can be used to get the apps in there, get them configured, and maybe get some demo data or default starting data. Different things like that.
Is it having able to be publishing or wrapping resources into the app? Would it help with the data, shipping out data as well?
Yeah, that is definitely. I mean, we've already got 2 apps we're working on now that we're using the resources for other things. But yeah, that is definitely, I think, something that because right now we didn't do config packs because those have been a bit of a challenge. So our data is created with code. I mean, and you can imagine it's not the greatest. So yes, using resources and stuff like that would be a lot cleaner.
Yeah, there was a tool for it, the data generator. I think they made a Tech Days with Jeremy Viska and Stefan Maron in Tech Days. So if anyone's looking for that, but it gives you a code unit that has all these functions that creates data, kind of a thing. So it was a very interesting one. But if you have lots of data, then obviously it's gonna be tricky to maintain it within the project and whatnot. But yeah, they're putting it as a JSON and then reading the JSON to just populate the data. It's obviously much more convenient. Okay, that's great. So we never mentioned telemetry. That's a tool that I'm quite curious about. Is this something you guys overly use, and how do you consume?
It's interesting. Telemetry is interesting. It requires a whole new skill set, of course, to go through that. We add telemetry calls into every one of our apps. So we are gathering telemetry data so we can find out who's installing our apps, who used the setup wizard, who's doing certain functions within our apps. We try to capture some key functions in all of our apps. We haven't got to the point though where we are consuming the telemetry data as part of our day-to-day process.
But what do you use? Do you use the Power BI reports, standard report, or?
We started using the Power BI reports. They broke
Okay.
sometime last year, and they've never worked again. And
Oh,
we haven't been able to get anybody to address the issue. So that's why I said we're going to take a different approach with that stuff, but we
sure.
haven't been able to do that investment quite yet.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
we go in. I'm able to go in. I have used it on some of the newer apps when we put them out a few months later. Just checking, because one of the things that still works was looking for performance issues, things like that.
Yeah.
So I have specifically used them for things like that, but in general, it's not day-to-day practice yet.
Yeah. It's also an evolving tool, and the utilization it hasn't really picked up a lot. But
Yeah,
it's good to have that because that's our now the monitoring solution, right? We don't have the
yeah,
SQL and that sort of stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Do you have anything to add in terms of the sales commission app?
Uh, in terms of the sales commission app, no, I mean, just in general though, just the other thing with our apps, because there's a lot of them, right? 27
Mm-hmm.
apps. Every single one of them can be installed on their own. So one of the other key things that we do is we don't have dependencies between any of our apps at all. Each one of them uses a library app. It uses the same library app, but all of those apps are completely standalone if that's what you want.
Yeah.
And there are about half of them that actually do work with each other if you have them both installed.
Okay.
So item recalls and inventory restrictions, for example, you
Yeah.
can create a recall and then have it create restrictions for you for your inventory if you have both of those apps installed. So that's one of the things that I think is a bit unique. I've seen a lot of dependencies. We learned a lot early on doing apps when it comes to dependencies and the challenges that they end up causing. So we
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
avoid them at all costs.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
dependencies can be a headache.
Yeah.
And especially when you have so many, the network of all those dependencies
Oh
can
yeah.
become quite complex. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's easier to maintain, definitely for you.
It is. It is for sure.
That's good. Okay, good insights. I want to talk about the collaboration and the
Mhm.
collaboration between you guys and other ISVs and the collaboration between Microsoft. Do you have enough insights from Microsoft or the other ISVs in terms of your decision making moving forward? So like which areas to invest or which areas to stay away?
Yeah. Do we have enough? That's an interesting way of asking it. I do think that there is a lot
Uh-huh.
of insight that we could have. I think it's very challenging to get a handle on it all, though. There are a few of us in the group that are monitoring various areas because it comes through all sorts of different mediums now, whether it's Viva Engage,
Yeah.
blogs, X. There's information dropping all over the place. So
Yeah,
staying on top of
LinkedIn.
it, it's yeah. LinkedIn wasn't a place I used to get that sort of information, but now there's a lot of information through all these places. So I do think that there's a lot of information available to people. It's
Mhm.
just incredibly challenging to actually digest it all. So we
Yeah.
do our best. We're active, like I said, on Viva Engage. We're active in there, staying on top of the release notes and release plans and things like that. We have dedicated channels in our internal teams to post this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
Have you ever find yourself you build something, then you realize, oh, Microsoft also built that kind of.
In my past, 100%, yes. At the
Okay.
previous place I was at, yes. Um, it's interesting, yeah, because that's one of the reasons why we use the release plans, because we do one of the areas we've been focused on, as you can tell from our apps, is the manufacturing
Hmm.
area. And there hasn't been a whole lot of work over the past bunch of years in that area, but now
Hmm.
there's about to be. Between the last release and the upcoming stuff, there's some work there. So we do certainly pay attention to that sort of thing the best we can. Like I said, we are regularly monitoring like the next major release and things like that through our pipelines. So we're looking for conflicts and things that start popping up that start to conflict. But yeah, in the past, like I said, it's happened, and you know we had to retire what we had because
Yeah, fair
it
enough.
just
It's obviously bad for the commercial purposes, but also it's might be good. There's a silver lining that okay, now it's out of the box, kind of a
yeah.
thing, maybe.
So I mean, we had it happen here. To be honest, we were looking at building our warehouse license plating app, which is containerizing inventory. We had started building that app just when I got here, it was getting off the ground. And then the release plan showed, hey, Microsoft's adding packages to item tracking.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, looking at it, it's like, okay, this is exactly what we're intending on building. But from my perspective, it's like, that's awesome they're building it, because we can't extend tracking at the same level that they can put their stuff in. So
100%.
I was looking at a solution from us that would have probably had some performance issues, because we would have had to extend certain tables that we didn't want to extend.
Yep.
But so we ended up, we scrapped what we had. We grabbed the package solution from Microsoft, and now our app is kind of based off of that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
great.
It is interesting, but
there was a release plan so that you could be able to see. So we didn't kind of have that back in the day, right?
That's exactly it. You still have to know where to get that information, and that's the hard part.
I mean, release plan should be the obvious one, because it's. But you don't know what's gonna happen like 2 years down the line, kind of a thing.
You still don't. Yeah, exactly. And even the release plan, it's nice to say, okay, we're going to introduce packaging, and that happened to be one that was described with a bit more detail, but often you still don't know what's happening under the hood.
Correct. So but do you have the ability to go to Microsoft, say, hey, you know what, I'm planning to invest in this area. The terminology might be different, but we think it's doing the same thing. So do you get that kind of collaboration from Microsoft? Because it might hurt your business as well, right? You don't want to invest in an area that Microsoft is actually investing in.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's probably, and maybe I'll lose this access after this, it's kind of an unofficial access. We've been in a few insider programs and groups that I have a few contacts that I could throw a message out to. Primarily though, no, it's through Viva Engage and those sort of platforms. So that's about all we really have. Yeah,
it's better than what we had, but it's probably getting better in terms of having that visibility of what's cooking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, good stuff. Looking ahead, so is there any new apps you guys are working on, or is there any new features like a big new cool features that you're planning to add on the existing apps? Can you give us a little sneak peek?
Yeah, we're working on a couple. So we built out that big library of kind of new functional apps. We're looking now, we've started building what we're calling connector apps. It's not the same as what I know Microsoft calls a connector app. It's still a BC app, but we're connecting to other applications outside of BC. So we're looking at a forecasting tool so we can bring in the forecasting information, and something it is specific to the food and beverage industry is connecting to a software where they can manage their recipes and formulations and nutrient information and all that sort of ingredient stuff. That's something that we had built a bit of that in the past in Business Central and Dynamics NAV, but kind of looking at it through a different lens these days, because everything's connected through services and whatnot. It's much more beneficial for us and the customer to have a product that's out there that's geared towards that recipe solution, and we're pulling in information. We're creating bombs and we're creating items and managing that sort of thing. So the example that I'm working on is actually the customer that's going to be going live with this in a couple of weeks. He's got over 32,000 bombs that they would have to manage. So we're pulling them all in from that other system, keeping them up to date and sync and things like that. So
this connector will only connect to that other system, or is it going to be more generic that we'll be able to connect similar?
These particular ones connect to specific software. We're working on some other stuff that is a bit more of a generic connector in terms of it actually uses a Power App to process a file.
Okay.
A flat file or delimited file, something to that effect. We've used it for an EDI solution, essentially. Right. It's not something that's in AppSource and probably won't be for at least a little while. But that was some way that we're looking at building a bit more of a generic import. So through Power Apps to process the file and then getting it into Business Central.
Okay.
And then it doesn't matter where it comes from.
So this is the generic one. Do you have the other connector that will connect to the specific app? Do you have something similar in the AppSource, or that doesn't exist in AppSource as well?
Right now, we don't have any other connector apps. So these will be our first two. We're actually looking at...
in terms of the AppSource in general, is there any alternative to it? So are you closing a gap?
For those two particular ones? No, not at all.
Okay.
No, they're the first two.
Value.
And fingers crossed, they'll be published next Thursday. So we'll see.
Good luck. Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, we made it a week earlier. I might
Yeah.
have scheduled it next week, so you had a fresh new app. Yeah, maybe next episode. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck. Wow, that's 54 minutes. Sorry,
No,
I have
that's
a
okay.
habit of. I have a habit.
It's all
I'm really
right.
enjoying the conversation. Thank you very much. I can
Yeah, no
go
worries.
all day,
Yeah,
and
I could talk so long on some of this stuff. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's good. And if someone want to get in touch with you, your apps or yourself, and
Mhm.
what is the ideal way?
I mean, if you're going through AppSource, we have the contact us button obviously on there. We have our links to our website, which also has a contact. If you want to provide a bit more detail, what
Hmm.
you're looking for, multiple ways that you can get to us. There's even links to our online help site and our support site that you can get things through there. And even like I said earlier, you can go to our help site, and there's a link at the top for our idea portal as well too.
Yeah,
If you
that's
want to
maybe
see
I
kind
didn't
of.
do enough justice on your port. So you have an idea portal, you have a
Mhm.
support portal as well that people
Yeah.
log tickets, and there's like a
Yeah.
kind of a training portal that there is functional documentation as well on how things work,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And because
Yeah.
I spend
Yes.
a bit more time on the technical because I really like that.
Yeah, so
But there's
we
also
try to
functional side of
cover
it as well.
all the bases. So our online help site, yeah, is the main source of the content, and it's got
Mhm.
our video links and things like that that we have on YouTube and Vimeo. But yeah,
Hmm.
so then the support portal primarily for our existing customers, obviously to log tickets, and then yeah, the idea portal is out there too. So you can get a sense even on our idea portal of things that we have in
Hmm.
development as well. So not just the ideas that we haven't yet evaluated. You can vote on them and things like
Yeah.
that, kind of standard
Okay.
thing. But
Yeah.
you can see what's actually kind of in our roadmap as well that we're working on that portal.
That's great. That's great in terms of visibility to your customers or
Hmm.
anyone looking for a similar app.
Yeah, we try. I try to put out as much as we can put out there
Hmm.
because it's. I think people expect that these days. They just look
Yeah.
us up, click a button, see what we're doing, see what we're all
Yeah.
about, and yeah, make it easy.
Absolutely. Okay. Before we go, do you have any wishes or advice or any messages to the community, either SV community or to Microsoft or to your partners? What would be your
Hmm.
yeah?
Wow. I mean, for me, I think definitely, look at AppSource, embrace it. It is different.
Mhm.
So 100% go in with the expectations that it's different. There are rails and rules around some things now. If you're going to use transactability, you have to, follow the guidelines of what you can do. But on the other side of it, it does simplify a lot.
Hmm.
Back in the Dynamics days, NAV days, we couldn't easily just decide to launch our solution in New Zealand. It
Yeah.
was a lot more work, a lot more effort to do that. And literally now it's a click of a button and things like that. So there's huge potential, but it is very different.
But we should keep paying attention to it and using it and
It's
put some
always
reviews and ratings, right? If you're using
Yeah,
it.
it's different. It's evolving all the time too. So
Yeah.
yes, you definitely
Absolutely.
have to stay on top of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you very much for your time. I really
No problem.
appreciate it. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks again for everyone listening this episode. Yeah, I think that's it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.